Yo, it's been so long since we've been together, right? That I don't even remember how to do the intro, dog. But
Yeah,
same
do
as
the
still. But same as still. Guys, it's been a minute. Killer is here. Az is here. Melody Dan is here. So welcome to another episode of Displacement Podcast. Killer's been traveling the world.
Yeah,
So it's very hard for us to actually get a chance to record. It's unfortunate that we can't be in studio right now recording, but here we are. Killer just got back from World Cup.
Yeah, man.
World Cup what? Finals?
So it's abbreviated WCF World Cup Finals. But you call it imports versus domestic. Some say MIR, Maryland International Raceway. But man, guys, it was a real experience, man. And I know Oz and I have been talking off the grid about, seeing if displacement can be present in its full colors next year,
Sure.
Definitely.
But
you were the only one that was there, and you sent back videos and we posted those videos, and the feedback was so great that
yeah, boy.
must I feel like yo, I'm on.
Right.
Next year for sure.
Yeah.
So talk to us about.
You posted some content on the Instagram page as well.
Yeah,
and I was able to tag one of the races.
Yeah.
So Oz and I were just talking about that for a minute too, and we were just saying, how cool that was that you actually have people internationally requesting some of the videos that we took, and if we basically knew all these people, we could have even tagged more people. So one of the exercises I think we're gonna have to do going forward is really trying to nail down who all the races are, getting the IG handles, and actually tagging them in some of our videos so they can see,
But as you make that point, how many cars were there racing? Just off the top of your head,
dude,
ballpark figure.
Hundreds. I'd probably say hundreds is probably a bit powerful, but I would say if I was to just pull a figure out, 150 or more. And you had cars on display there too. That was just stationed at the tent. So I'd love to give you all a virtual walkthrough. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
I really should have thought of just putting the GoPro on and just walking through the freaking venue.
I think you should have, but let's all start right from the top though. So first and foremost, it's WCF. It was at Maryland Raceway in the United States of America.
Yeah.
The time was between November 2nd to
November 3rd to November 7th. I think those are the official dates.
Right.
But we were basically there more on the Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday. So more from the 5th to the 7th. Okay. And then the last day is actually elimination. So everything else besides that is actually testing.
All right. So
qualifying.
So that happened. You were there. Antigua represented. I think the contingent I went up was about how much? About 5,000. I'm joking. There was a lot.
Plenty people.
It was roughly about 30 persons.
Easily 30 persons in our section where we were sitting, because we actually got VIP tickets.
As in one set of Antiguas maybe 30, and they might have had more.
Straight up, and
because you had people from other states.
They might have had more. They were more.
Yeah,
they just weren't necessarily with us.
Okay.
So before we go too far off tangent, just for the listeners, viewers, followers, subscribers. There's actually a Antiguan guy who participated in the event and has been participating in the event for years now.
What's the car?
Right? We know him locally as Watty, but he has left a long time ago. Jason Marsh, he has been around cars for a long time. He has his own shop and so. And he has Island Boys all over it. I know they have a car in the camp called El Jefe. And there's another blue Civic too. They're about 3-4 cars in the camp. But you're talking about, you have maybe around 15 to 20 people who would be just in his camp area, around that car, around that tent, around that trailer. They'll have food, they'll have barbecue set up. It's a full weekend of camping and vibes, but just together. For at least the folks who stay on compound.
So what was the name of his car? not what the name of his car? 'Cause you said El Jefe, right? But what's the make and the model of his car and what section?
Honda Civic. It's the Honda Civic. It's the Honda Civic hatch.
Okay.
So they have 2 or 3 EKs, EK hatches in that cab.
Okay.
So we'll probably share some slides because I should have some photos in here too. Because I took a whole ton of photos.
For sure. And then what's the time on those cars?
Dude, them man doing 7s and so that. Like,
oh, that's why.
Yo, that's unheard of. Like the fastest passing out track here in Antigua, I think, is like a 8 something, like an 8 high.
Street car.
And yeah, well, even race car, like Helter Skelter, so locally fastest pass, I think low 9s. I think maybe 1 or 2 cars may have broke into the 8s.
Yeah.
But boss, going to that and seeing car do 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Some of those pro mods, a K series, did a 5.8 and broke a world record, dude. Like,
yeah, I saw that video.
What we were a part of was basically a part of viewing people make history, man. It's crazy.
I'm not a car enthusiast. Because again, I'm the novice here on this podcast. They're learning a lot and asking the questions from a novice standpoint. But just to be a part, if I was a part of that or at that show, it would have been just watching the videos that you sent, man. I was like, nah, man, we need to know more about car, man. Yo, the adrenaline,
I don't even know enough.
Adrenaline just, So what would you be your biggest takeaway from the event so far?
To be honest, it's crazy. I would say like what I learned, especially watching Wati this year. I watched him last year too, because I went to the event last year and he dominated big time. They changed the class rules, which I think caused him having to use a different size turbo.
Okay.
So that put it into a little different category. And straight up, we're rooting for him from day one, Antigua all the way. And I saw dude blow like 3 or 4 engines in one weekend.
What?
And
hold on. Let's not gloss over that. Hold on.
I know, right?
Let's not gloss over that. So you're telling me I'm gonna blow out the whole engine and I still had time to change the whole engine, put in a different engine and still race, bro.
Yo, when I tell you about the energy at World Cup, bro. Yo, you come to World Cup, you have a camp, you have your RV, you have your trailer, you have your people with you, your family, your squad, your mechanics, the people for your shop, sponsor you, you have all your tools, and blowing up engines at World Cup is like, I don't even know how to explain. It's like walking down the street. It is that normal.
Yeah, but
I like your boss's slippers.
Basically, it's like you have on the battle slippers and the toe just got.
Yeah, but for a man for to put in a whole engine in less than 24 hours to race, I've seen like guys put engine in Antigua and it took them like maybe 2-3 days, 4 days, a week. So somebody can put an engine and car in a couple of hours.
Hours.
That's wild, bro.
So there are people who did qualify, blew something, and were ready again in a couple of hours.
Whoa.
So you literally go to World Cup. Like I spoke to this one guy who told me, we came with 4 engines, 2 gearboxes, and 3 spearheads. So they know how much they have. They have their arsenal. Yeah. And it was rough seeing what you go through about 3 or 4 engines, man. Yeah. But I don't know what the whole atmosphere is like in terms of sponsorship for each individual. But I just try to put myself in the person's shoes. And when you blow up a motor, right?
Yeah.
It is a super huge deal as far as I see. Because you're potentially ruining the crankshaft, the engine block, the piston rods, the connecting rods, the pistons. Depending on what let go, it could also damage the head. So if you basically went to a complete motor, you're talking about maybe 15 grand, and this is not including labor costs and machine costs and all different things. You're looking at maybe 15 grand US each time one of those go.
And that
potentially.
And that
more
speaks to why
if
sponsorship is so important.
of those, you don't go through, who knows, like 50K plus US, just in this one night, not including your cost to get there, not including your cost to travel, have your whole camp there, buy the fuel, participate, all the preparations you got to do. And that's just motor. We're not even talking if you break axles, if you break gearbox, if you break your limited slip. Like, it's crazy on one side for the races, but for the folks who actually plan the event too, it is the most, I don't even know how to explain it. You see, like, you go to races here and there are big breaks in between. Literally, as one race is done, the next race is right behind. Constantly. The work that goes into, preparing the track bite. You have, guys laying down rubber, the different machines, their torches. It is the craziest drag racing event, I think, anywhere in the world, arguably. Really, really sick.
Is there any question from you?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of questions, but we can keep them compact. Because, I mean, I've followed some drag racing. I've watched some drag racing, primarily back in the old golden days when John I was the only thing, and the only thing we know about from overseas from drag racing was NHRA, right? And mainly just funny cars, right? How you think that event compare? Is it just as comparable, as in just as intense, just as much work compared to?
I'll tell you,
funny cars?
Maybe even, who knows, maybe even more work, right? I mean, walking around the event, so being in the stands where we took all the content, where the videos and so on, I mean, that's one energy and one atmosphere in terms of we're in the crowd, we literally met like US folks in the crowd, and then we started having bets and so, the Antiguans love Hondas, some of the guys might love the domestics, as you'd call it, the Mustangs and so, and the imports would be considered the Hondas and what we rate, and like some of the rear wheel drive Toyota Starlets with rotary engines. So, we had folks betting on rotaries, we had folks betting on, Ford Mustang versus a Civic. And, the atmosphere there is just like none other, man. And it's not no, unsportsmanlike vibes. It is basically everybody enjoying the event. Now, walking through and actually seeing the pit area where the guys are prepping the cars, you're literally passing tents and you're hearing impact wrenches going off. Like, even if they don't break something, Melo, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I said that sound like NASCAR, yo.
Yeah, right? You're passing, and even if they don't break something, guys, they're checking stuff. Like, so if they did a clean pass, they would get back, jack up, get it on, some jack stands, pull the oil pan and start inspecting the bearings to make sure that they're good for another pass. Or see, maybe they have 2, 3, 4 passes left in this particular motor. Because everybody goes all over. And that goes for like everyone. I'm probably gonna share like the class rules because they have so many different classes too. They have True Street, they have Wild Street. All of them have different weight limits. They have the Pro Mod class. All of them have different.
So we in Antigua doesn't put anything together, man. This is say, yo,
no. What we do, what we do in Antigua is just like, okay, 11-second bracket, 10-second bracket.
That's it. Yeah. And how heavy you can be, how light you can be. Once you can
all motor or turbocharge.
Not even care. As long as it's 10 seconds. So, 10 seconds.
I could be turbocharged, us could be electric, you could be all motor. If all of us do it 11 seconds, we're in the same class.
Right? But is that more exciting, as opposed to how they have it?
I think we don't have a choice but to do it here because of how, I guess, small our setup would be.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd have maybe,
how expensive it is.
Yeah, if you have like an electric class, you'd maybe have what, 2, 3 vehicles in that class, if any.
Yeah,
And that,
you know,
and most of them
turbocharged
come in stock
class.
too.
Yeah, turbocharged class would have quite a bit for sure.
True.
You know, but guys, the experience is none, like, it's just like no other.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite race of the event?
I missed, believe it or not, I missed 2 of my favorite races by seconds, and I went into the stand and
the race is only 6 seconds.
Exactly.
I added 3 seconds just for the time for drop the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So the 2 hypest ones, or at least the ones that I were looking forward to. I'm not sure if you guys remember the first photo I shared with the red Civic hatch.
Yeah.
I think I also posted it on my status. Like, everybody loves that car, yo. Speed Factory is driven by a dude called James Kemp. Look like a young fellow. Everybody loved that car. I missed that car doing its best time, doing the 6.8, right?
So you missed the world record.
That's a world record for that trim, for that chassis, for first 4-wheel drive Honda in that class. It's just, yeah, you know.
And the next one.
The other one, there was this guy from Florida by the name of Frustrate, and another Integra that's accustomed to doing roll racing. I think he's Gringo Integra, but they were doing the quarter mile. They had a quarter mile matchup that was hyped up before the event, and I missed that by a couple of minutes. So I got the lowdown as soon as I got into the stand.
You only upset that you missed. And then again, you're a Honda fan, so you can't help.
Well, you know, I can't hide it so much. But to be honest, for the imports, it's Hondas and Toyotas basically dominating the imports. You have like, I saw like maybe 1 Subaru participating in that level, maybe a few Evos, and other imports like Japanese probably would be Nissan, probably would be the GTRs. There are a few GTRs for sure. But yeah, other than that, and the Toyota, the rear-wheel drive ones, the Starlets, where they put in the rotary engines and so. But other than that, it's all domestics, all Fords, all Chevys, all trucks, all, you know.
I saw one car that I really wanted to ask you about. The Altezza. It was like a bluish, grayish Altezza.
I think it had a super engine, you know.
Oh, it's a super engine that was in there?
I think.
Yeah. I saw it. I saw that on Instagram.
Did you get to see that run?
Yeah. What time did it do? I don't even remember what class it was running. I did get to see it run. I think it was doing like 8s, you know.
What?
Yeah, I think it was doing like
8s. Like that.
Oh yeah.
Very heavy, you know. But I would assume that them guys shell them out and, you know, try to drop some weight and so on over them, right?
But believe it or not, like, you know, the roll cage they have to put to certify those type of cars. Yeah, those roll cages probably weigh quite a bit. So all those pipes to protect the driver running through the roof, running through the floor, running around the driver's seat, running in the, I mean, it's crazy, man. You know?
Any other questions as from before we wrap up the, you know, matter of fact, who won? Was it imports
To be honest, I think domestics won, you know.
Domestics?
I think domestics won overall. Because, as I said, they have like a true street class, they have a mean street class, they have a wild street class, they have a pro mod class. They're probably like 8 classes. I couldn't even keep track of all the classes and the criteria for each one. But I would think overall, from the winners that I saw, I would believe that domestics probably outweighed the pack.
Next question. About how much persons were you approximately would you say were in attendance? Was it a sold out event? Was it? Well, then again, I saw some posts.
It was.
I saw some posts where the guys
tickets
said,
sold out.
Sold out. Yeah, that's true.
Dude,
so roughly how much in
I heard that the VIP parking alone got sold out in like a few minutes after it dropped. Whoa. So VIP parking is like 2 minutes away from the pit. Ordinary parking, if you get there like late on a day, you literally have to walk like maybe 1.5 miles from parking to get to the track. So
Dude, you know how long a mile be?
Oh yeah, imagine trekking that with a cooler too. Because on the Sunday, which was the eliminations day, we actually walked with a cooler. Because in VIP seating, you're allowed a cooler that's maybe 2 feet by 2 feet or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we walked with some stuff in there, and even had a good vibe. But Sunday was literally like the biggest, the most attended of the event because that's elimination. So people would drive down from wherever. Yeah. So most folks work like, I guess, Monday to Friday. And if they don't make it the Saturday, they really will get there by the Sunday. Man, if I was to stick a figure out there, like where I was on the Sunday, like you literally had to squeeze in between to get a seat.
3, 4, 5.
So VIP was sold out. I actually got my VIP ticket late. What's up, guys?
No, how much? Go ahead, Oz.
I'm thinking based on the numbers I'm seeing and the size of that stand, I'm thinking close to 100,000 people.
No, maybe not so much, man.
No,
100,000 people hold on the people as.
Yeah, over the course of 5 days. Yeah,
I went to a Rihanna concert and
whoa,
the Rihanna concert was sold out.
Wrong podcast.
And that's
no, right podcast. Well, right school, wrong podcast, but still, you went to a Rihanna concert, bro?
Yeah, I went to a Rihanna concert before, just separately, and it was at wherever the New York Knicks play, I guess. I don't even remember the stadium or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that seated
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and that seated like 80,000 people, and it was sold out. It wasn't as big as the Rihanna concert for sure.
So about roughly about 10,000 people, roughly. If that
I would say maybe there, or even a little bit more. Maybe even a little bit more. Especially on the Sunday, because the Sunday you had people in the pit.
Yeah.
Because people go there for deals too, guys. Like you
networking
have
and so on.
All sorts of vendors around the event. So real street performance, you have, Precision Turbo, all of the Don Daughters of the parts world are there setting up tents, offering deals, offering early Black Friday deals, offering 20% off, selling special merch.
Was any representative of your organization there? Call no names.
No.
But you also performance.
Yeah, but we're not at that performance geared level. We're more at the aftermarket accessories kind of thing. And there was like one or two that kind of had like a car care setup. They had like different tire dressings, tire gels, and that kind of thing. But venue was set up with all the different vendors, all the Black Friday deals, early Black Friday deals, exclusive merch, and all the good stuff you could, get it 20% off, get it half off.
Clearance. So you're saying next year, Displacement podcast potentially in the building with merch.
Yes, definitely.
And by that time, we're supposed to be at least 100,000 subscribers. So I got inside the impact.
Vibes.
Easy.
I'm done. Not the biggest. I mean, I like to see a good car, but not a biggest as it pertains to knowledge. But hey, if 2 cars go down the track, I don't even know who first reach them may win. I was like the fastest time.
Yeah.
And you look excited. Yo, at one point I saw some of the races that we post, like cars literally like them up.
Yep. Front wheels off the ground.
Damn.
Yo, I'm telling you, like all the rear wheel drive cars.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing any sort of steering or steering input that does anything before like halfway down the track, because the 2 front wheels off the ground for like the first half of the track.
But there's some of the videos that you posted, like some of the videos I posted, I see like I like the races, but the fans weren't as and there was some that maybe barely do like an 8 seconds, and you see people like yo. So is it like a case where there are some known popular popular cars that people look out for? Are they already know coming in that these are the races that they want to see and all this thing?
That's one thing. And then you also have so I'm going to tell you the weird thing about it too. Not only do you have all these different vendors here, but like the YouTube famous guys in like the car arena, enough of them there. Like last year we saw Boosted Boys, they weren't there this year. This year there was Sonic 203, who's a big shop. He does New England. I think it's New England Motors somewhere in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you guys ever follow this guy by the name of Cletus McFarland, he's huge in Florida for domestics. He actually won out his part of the class.
So a lot of people
so
go
you're
there
seeing
to follow the
yeah.
influencers and people.
So
that they
even
know with.
seeing the influencers there live in person, people taking pictures with them, introducing themselves, you know, just that, and even posting that kind of content too, you're getting some of that same following just from that. I mean, yeah, it's somewhere I think we need to be in this arena, in this space for the motorsport vibes and so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something we need to do. For sure.
All right, so just to wrap up on that, what is some of the takeaways that you think that we can apply maybe to our raceway here as well, to in Antigua, not on racetrack, just the fraternity?
We got to spend some chips. We got to spend some chips, man. And like the machines that they use, they literally have, so you have the launch pad. Like here in Antigua, we probably track by like the first half of the track for a big event. On a regular Tuesday night, they probably do no track prep whatsoever. These guys, they probably prep the track weeks leading up to the event. They prep the track during the event. They prep the track between different classes. And when I talk about prep the track, I'm talking about really prep the track. So they put down track bite over the track on the concrete in the launch area, so the cars have traction going out. But they not only track bite, like the first half, they track bite the whole track with several layers. Track bite doesn't work properly unless rubber goes on it. So they have a machine that looks like a tractor trailer or backhoe, so to speak, with real tires hooked up to the back, like real expensive slicks, probably used, but still in good condition. And it compresses it down onto the track and drag them to lay rubber on the track. So the cars have proper hookup and can get proper launches.
So it's pretty much you have no excuse then.
You have no excuse. They have a torch to heat up that rubber so it binds with the track bite. So as I said, guys, this is the event where people go to break records. And there were several records broken this year.
That was a good way of putting it, where people go to break records. Damn.
Yeah, man.
Hey. Stop giving away IP like that, yo. If it's not copyright, you can't give IP like that, yo. The domestic versus import, where people go to break records. Hey, remember you guys heard
Copyright that right now.
Remember you guys heard it here first on the Displacement podcast. The one killer came up with that. All right, so what do you think that they could do to help improve that event and make it a little bit better for next year? If anything.
There's always room for improvement, I think. I'll be honest, the one maybe disadvantage or negative I didn't mention was, I know early in the podcast we spoke about people blowing engines like you're walking down the street.
Yeah.
Depending on the severity of the blow, you may have oil that lays down on the track, oil or coolant. If any of those get on the track, which happened 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
You're talking about at least a 20 to 25 minute break. Because of the safety aspect. You track bite the whole track, you have some sort of fluid that goes on top of it that settles, which is either oil or coolant. Both of them are slippery. And you're going down there anywhere between 160, some of the smaller cars in the smaller classes, up to 220 something, 240 something, some of the pro mod. You can't afford to run over something at that kind of speed that will cause anything to slip. You know? So they do their homework. Yeah, and we saw some crashes live. I didn't even speak about that. We saw about 2 crashes live, and I'm talking about one person lost control, hit the drive into the wall, other person hit the wall, both of them flipped, saw some fire, but most of them, because of safety. Everybody is safe, surprisingly, but because they take safety so seriously, they take the tech inspection so seriously. To be certified to run the event, I mean, you have to have a particular type of roll cage. You might have to have fire suppression systems and all of that. So because all of that is in place, even the guys who are crashing, somebody pulled their parachute, backflips come off the ground, crash. Like blowing engines and crashing, you don't go to a World Cup without seeing that kind of stuff. You know?
It is fast
So
cars going down the track, right?
Yeah, you know, and it kind of put into perspective to how dangerous the sport really is too.
Yeah.
You know, it's a rough hobby for me to choose. I was just telling somebody the other day, man, like, why didn't I get into golf?
You can't ever say you can play like a football, Jack. Jesus Christ.
Nah, you know, I used to do basketball. Man. I keep saying to myself, man, like this is a rough sport to get into, man. I should have just gotten to golf or something.
And expensive too.
Yep.
Last question from me. As it pertains to tech, how present was tech in the racing arena? I mean, I know we still hook up the computer to make sure everything worked perfectly and all that, but I'm talking when I say the overall competition, how much was tech a part of the overall competition?
So in terms of the tech inspections to participate in the event, or the technology they actually use along with the cars to get them down the strip, or both.
You can choose which one you think is more important and how it impacted the event.
We'll start with the tech inspections. The tech inspections are serious in terms of not only safety, not only roll cages, making sure everything is functional, make sure your battery is tied down properly, make sure you don't have any potential for oil to run in front of your front wheel and you lose control. Like they're very rigorous from what I've seen with the tech inspections. So much so if you're in a particular class, you got to take off your turbo or your turbo housing and they measure it with the micrometer to make sure that it's within the specs to participate in that class. Right. And then once that is done, they will tag your turbo or whatever, a particular color like green, to say, okay, mellow pass tech inspection. Right. And that is what you run throughout the event.
Let me just interject because, again, very ignorant as it pertains to cars. So you're trying to say,
man, just ask.
So you're trying to say, man, like, so if I have a specific turbo in my car and I'm running in a certain class, there's things that I can do to my turbo to modify it to get more power out of it that can probably match. So there's a way to consider cheating, though.
Correct. You can probably have bigger internals in a normal size looking housing.
Yeah.
And maybe get away with it because you say, oh, that looked like a regular precision 62.
But this is
that's the maximum in the class, and it end up being a 64 something, but you have it in a different housing or whatever the case may be.
But this is my thing though. If I'm running an 8-second cut, but yeah, you see that's the thing. In America, in Antigua, we just said that.
In Antigua, we do class, but
right up there they go off.
You gotta be on a 2,400 pounds, right? They weigh it. You gotta use a particular fuel. They test your fuel to make sure the content of the fuel is right. Make sure you're not running too much ethanol or methanol in the fuel or whatever the case may be.
The same amount of parts, the same type of parts in terms of not even the same parts, because maybe some makers make different. They're different makers of turbos, but it's the same class of turbo then. So if I say turbo class A, class B, class C, and 10 different makers of class A, class B, or class C, in order to run in this bracket, you have to have a class A turbo from whatever maker you want to choose. But these are the specs of the
but
class.
It needs to fit into this frame, correct?
Okay, fair enough.
The two big brands I saw there in terms of turbos was Precision and a new kid on the block, well, new to me, by the name of Apex Turbo.
Okay.
And a lot of people, like, there were like 2 cars, I think, that broke records with that Apex Turbo on it. So I can see that it's going to be huge in like the next year. So the prices they probably have now will be good, but I feel like in another year or so, you'll see that skyrocket.
All right. So continue on the tech part, sorry.
In terms of the technical now for the cars themselves, I want to do a little parallel here in terms of Antigua versus here, and even how we used to do things back in the day. So back in the day, when I had my first Integra and I wanted to get into racing, we did simple things here. So you would hear people complain about the Honda's loud. When they're about to race, they tend to drop the pipe. So I learned to drop my pipe, take off the exhaust so you could breathe better. So you could free up some more horsepower. You do that, you'd maybe rig up something to get more air into the engine. So you have more air coming in, more air coming out. And we would use a 12-inch and just what you call advance the distributor. So it has more ignition timing to kind of hype it up a little bit, get it accelerating faster. And those were the little mechanical things that we did. As time passed on and whatnot, over the years, we've had tuning solutions where you can hook up a computer and, you know, modify your fuel, modify your air, modify your mixtures. These guys basically, the technology that these guys have, and it's available to anybody too.
Yeah.
But before you just set up a car, go to the track and race, these guys have endless amounts of data. They data log from start to finish. They can tell you what time they did from the computer. They can tell you when the car broke traction. They can tell you if the car needs to turn up or turn down. They can tell you why it bogged off of the line. They can tell
talk
you
about
what
each
boost.
aspect of the gearbox as well.
Yeah.
How to
What
properly
boost.
set the gearbox in terms of the ratio. And all that.
Yeah, man. I'm talking about endless information. They can tell you what boost at what RPM. They can tell you, you know, what happened here, why the RPM picked up, and what we need to do to correct it. And these guys are doing this after each consecutive pass. That's how they were able to better their times, because they're just constantly looking over the data and making adjustments.
But can't
You know?
that having all that data be considered too much, so?
It can be overwhelming to
overwhelming,
somebody who is
that's
new.
the word.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming to somebody who is new to that tool, but for what these guys come to do, to break records, that's what it's all about for them. You know, that's what it's all about. The next thing that we didn't touch on, which veered away a little bit from the technical, but I want to mention, dude, you got to tip your hat to all the drivers who came out on that world stage and performed, guys, because I can only speak like from being a racer. I haven't really told much people, and I never really mentioned it on the podcast either, but there was a race that I had with like a veteran here in Antigua. And it was just a bracket race at the time, because we were doing bracket race. Bracket race is when you dial in and you get closest to your time.
Yeah.
You're not really racing heads up like Mello, Tezza doing 12s, I doing 13, and I need to pass him.
Yeah.
You know, they set up everything in the lights and you're dialing in time. And I was racing against Cliff. Cliff is like an old veteran.
The general.
Right? Yeah, man. And
so,
dude,
so
I remember staging.
I kind of feel like I'm gonna know how this whole conversation goes.
Yeah, I remember staging, like getting my car in, waiting for the bulbs to light up. And dude, I remember having to do this. Like, dude, I had sweaty palms, man. I'm like, yeah, boy, you know? Not nervous, but just so excited, so exhilarating, so anxious, right? And
it is.
You know, and that's me in my little 14-second Civic at the time.
Yeah.
Imagine these guys out here with 15,000 viewers, spectators on a fully prepped track, trying to break records, breaking parts, not knowing what the hell's going to happen, going down there, that crazy mile an hour, anything can happen. Like, dude, they got to big up the races, man. The patrons came out and showed up, but the racers showed up too.
For sure. All right, Killer. Again, super jealous, but you know, glad you got
man. Displacement.
Glad you got that
Displacement represented. 1/3 of Displacement was able to represent. I'm just saying,
I'm jealous that I wasn't there, but I'm still glad that we were. We had a representative in the building. I'm glad that we could have this dialogue. Sure. Anything from yours? Anything else from yours? Question. I mean, I know you already went through all the videos. You don't do all the research. You don't connect with all the drivers. I don't know you very much, you know, a nerd when it comes to that aspect. So I wouldn't even have the question if you don't go through all that.
I mean, I'm just like Killer said, real big up. As I was thinking about what he said, I thought about it before. Especially because I'm looking at so many driving disciplines. And I think to myself, you know, regardless of what you're doing, you are essentially an athlete in that sport.
Correct.
Because there are specific skill sets that you need to be able to drive a vehicle in a particular way, in particular conditions. And even just that, you know, some of the technical stuff I know Killian go into, that the lights know when your reaction time is beyond what humans can do and what a human can do. So although the vehicle may not left line before the light, you know that you actually reacted before you saw it, right? And so for people to be able to be reacting perfectly, and I watched those videos, people reacting perfectly, consistently, over and over, not missing the shift, not redlining and them kind of stuff. On a different, I mean,
nail on the head,
to do all that in 6 seconds.
Damn.
Can you imagine?
We can't even go to my fridge and take a glass of water and reach back in the 6 seconds. Me get distracted by my phone, my toe. I was like, oh look, shit, we forget some kinds in our pocket by the watch. Yo, that's wild.
It is wild.
But that event will last so long. Just seeing a bunch of 8 seconds, 10 seconds cars, as I say, and kudos to them guys. Continue on, sorry about that.
Definitely. I mean, I was just saying, real big up to them drivers who are able to do those kind of stuff consistently, the mechanics. Like Killer says, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and much respect have to be given to every motorsport discipline. And we need to continue having these conversations. We can break down some of the real technical stuff in each of these disciplines. And as we digress a little over, look into Antigua being represented in 24 Hours of Dubai, which is a totally different discipline. Too, is
huge. That's huge.
Something to just consider.
Well, we get
the technicalities behind the doors.
We get into that because that's our next topic for you guys. I'm gonna allow you to intro that because I didn't know much about that. I saw you posted in the group, so I was like, let me allow you to speak on that. But let me just say this as well too, because there's a heavy conversation around just to close off the World Cup, right? The World Cup drag racing situation, domestic versus imports at Maryland drag racing. But Maryland Raceway or drag racing? Is Maryland
Maryland International
MIR. Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah, just to get that right, so people can go and do their own research and Googles and so on. There's been a heavy discussion around whether NASCAR drivers, Formula One racers, and even drag racers are athletes. I consider them to be athletes. And as rightfully said, it takes a lot of brain power. Takes a lot of general understanding. It does require a level of stamina as well too. It requires to be extremely calm in the harshest of environments and complex of situations as well. So for me, all that ticks off the boxes becoming an athlete. I mean, you still got to prepare your body in a certain way because you can't expect to be at a certain weight and go in a car and expect a car to do a certain amount. You yourself, you have to take your body count into consideration. It means you have to eat a certain way, exercise in a certain way. You have to make sure all your faculties and your attention span is up to par. So, I mean, rightfully so, these guys are athletes, and I think we shouldn't even have that discussion. Well, we are not having that discussion, but I've seen it in other podcasts. They have this I Am Athlete podcast as well too, that did whole NASCAR series, and there was this whole debate around whether they are, athletes. And I think it's just ridiculous.
100%.
To have that
100%. I will say, guys, that I think drag racing is heavily underrated in that category for that same reason, because the sport itself isn't really taken as a sport, but it's motorsports, right? Sure. And it's a sport just like anything else, But I think it's underappreciated, the drag racing segment, because it's just 6 seconds. It's just 7 seconds. It's just 8 seconds.
But the preparation and the dedication,
those guys have to do.
Correct.
That 7-8 seconds. And the things that can happen in that 7-8 seconds trying to go all out. I've seen people shift from second gear to first gear, back into first, down the engine, mash up a gearbox, car indo like a bike. Just one wrong movement of your hand.
You said that the car indo like a bike.
Yes, serious, man. And then as mentioned, a big part of it too, reaction time. I've seen people do a slower time through the quarter mile, but still beat the person because they had a better reaction time. That is something that you have to practice and train just like the athlete would.
And also for Brockdown, because taking into consideration, let's not take into consideration the car is a part of, the driver as well too. So it's one package. So it's just like one basketball player get injured and soon playoff time or in the playoff and you really need that player. Your doctor, physios have to do what they need to do to get that player back to optimum health or just good enough so they can play out the series and help win a championship. It's not, it's just the same as, it's none less than the same thing with mechanic, where you were telling me that one engine blow within a couple of hours, the mechanic had an engine back up. The driver already understand whatever nuances that might have changed or addition to that car, no, because yeah, you might be they test this one car throughout the whole season, preparing for that, and then maybe like in the second to last year, everything have a change. No, there's a one or two little slight things that have to happen that no, the mechanic have to explain to the driver, and then the driver have to mentally make a note of that, and also be at the capacity and have that attention span and that understanding and that experience to know, hey, this nuance happened or this situation is there, so I know I have to take that into consideration when going forward, and still can take that into consideration when a championship. I don't think there shouldn't be a discussion whether these guys are these two. Both mechanics, both drivers, both the whole race team, man.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that. I know we're supposed to close off this chapter, but another thing that you mentioned about preparation, athlete, and injuries, and so I found out after that there's this one guy who crashed his car at FL2K at an event before in Florida, maybe like a couple weeks before. Transferred everything from that crash shell, put it into like another shell to get ready to actually participate at World Cup. And come to find out he was actually sick throughout the whole of World Cup, and he made it to like the semis.
Whoa, that's
Jason Bello, JBRE.
So he actually pushed you.
Yeah, these guys dedicated. Not only did he get into accident, screwed up one car, that's dollars down the drain, toughed it out, put the engine and everything into like another body to get to this next event, end up, I guess, maybe crashing his body for doing all that, and still participate in the event like half sick and made it to, I think, like the semis. So
that's impressive.
These guys dedicated, man. And you gotta give Jack his jacket.
Yeah, that's on some athlete shit, yo. So again, guys, I mean, Killer, thanks for reviewing, thanks for entertaining my crazy questions, and as
anytime, bro. I enjoy it.
Wow. Yeah, I can see you excited just to recap the whole event, man. Next year, again, God's willing, Displacement podcast, full effect, should be in attendance at that. Our subscribers should be up as well too. So not only will we try to do the aftermath review, but we're supposed to begin after every day sit down and do a podcast and talk about it.
Definitely.
And upload that right quick in a hurry, so people can understand.
Guys, I'll tell y'all, the data there is terrible, so you can't get no data there. So many people, and it's like in a valley.
Makes sense.
Data is,
but don't worry about the data. All we need to do is record. Once we reach the hotel, we upload and keep it pushing, man. Yeah. And again, first of all, so I'm assuming these hotels are fiber, so we should be fine.
Yeah, as soon as we get back, then we'll be good.
All right, guys. So again, Killer, thanks. You already know it's the Displacement podcast. Your boy Melody Dan. You have Killer in the building as the great one. Until we're on the next episode, we're out.